What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more acid-techno. And we're going to listen to a tune from 2011, and this is the earliest Flatlife record I have, meaning I think this is Flatlife 3. Yes, Flatlife 3. There were 2 records before this, but that's before Jack Wax and his label were really on my radar. But this one definitely made me take notice, and I've been following Flatlife ever since, so shout out to Jack. And yes, we're going to listen to his Wax Is All Gonna Take You Off, which that second part is a parenthetical subtitle or secondary title. And my understanding is that the sample in this track is from Paris with Love, I think a movie with John Travolta. I've never seen it, but I do believe that is the case. But yes, this is a very memorable tune. Again, it's the tune that cued me in to Jack, or I think it's Yop, I think is how his real first name is said. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, I apologize. But yes, this is the tune that made me take notice, and I do believe not only are the other 2 remixes on this record totally decent, the Chris Liberator and Dark Mark mix is entirely good. The Dave the Drummer mix is a bit like deep techno, deep acid techno. I enjoy it. But I do think Jax's original mix is my favorite on here. I do also have, and I'm planning to react to right after this, the Sterling Moss remix, which came on vinyl a few years later on Jack's label Pro Techno. I'll have to dig that record out to confirm. But yes, this is, as I said, from 2011. It's called Wax Is All Gonna Take You Off. And it has a very menacing, there's some alien acidic invasion happening. It feels like there is something afoot, which is mischievous but also intriguing. So let's give it a listen and note the colored blue marble vinyl. I very much appreciate that. This is Jack Wax and his Wax Is All Gonna Take You Off from 2011 on his own Flatlife label. What are you doing? Come here. Tune. I will say, as a guy who was a kid in the 80s, it's hard to think of the phrase wax on, wax off without thinking of the Karate Kid and Mr. Miyagi. Nevertheless, I don't know if there's an homage to that here in this sample, not having seen From Paris with Love, but I do think the samples are well chosen, and I like that one right at the break at the end of that, like, you know, big kick drum build-up, which I don't know if it's Little Fucker or something like that, but it sounds like that's what's said, but I like the way that sample hits right before it drops back in. Again, there's a real building, like, cumulative quality to this one. It's very layered. There's acid that's, like, grinding. There's acid that's gurgling and bubbling. And then as the tune really gets going, like, halfway through and beyond, there's some chirping acid work, too. So definitely a layered piece of acid-techno. And yes, again, when I first heard this, I was like, oh, I love this. Who is this guy? This is his label? Okay, I'm interested, and proceeded to get just about everyone. I think there may be one or two in the, you know, decade and a half just about since that I haven't gotten, but most of the Flatlife catalog is in my collection, thankfully. And indeed, I was actually reading an exchange on a slightly later release. It was like a year or two after this. Another tune by Jack called Acid Rocker, and there's some really good remixes. The Steve Mills remix I always enjoy, and I think I haven't reacted to any versions of that tune, so maybe I'll have to go through that one soon. Oh wait, that's not true. I reacted to the original version of that one. I'm quite sure of that. Nevertheless, I was reading an exchange Jack had with someone on Discogs on the master release for that record, where he was saying, this other person, I love this tune, and in fact, maybe it was on this release. In fact, I think it was on this release, and he was saying like, oh, this is a great record, you should repress it, because like you did with Acid Rocker, and indeed, Acid Rocker came out, I got a copy, and then I think there was much clamoring, much demand, and there was a repress done, and, more copies released. I got myself a second copy, and that does tend to happen again if a record is like really popular and there's a lot of demand, there's enough money behind it that you can justify repressing. But Jack wrote something like, he's not going to do that for this record, and he almost regrets doing it for Acid Rocker because he likes when things are a bit more limited, special, and rare. I do get that. Now, I also get what it's like to be on the outside looking in. Like, if you find out about a limited release after the fact, and it's like, oh, there's only 100 copies, or in this case, 200 copies, and you don't have one, and maybe there's no copies for sale on Discogs, or there's like one at an insanely elevated price, that can be annoying. But I do get it, the idea of keeping something limited and special. I am, of course, lucky to own both releases, and this one is hand-numbered. It's number 13 out of 200, so again, I'm very happy to own this. Luca's happy for me as well. But yeah, I really do enjoy it. As I said, I think it's the best of the 3 versions on here. I do also very much like the Sterling Moss remix, which, if I can find that record in a reasonable amount of time, I'm going to come back and react to right after this. So hopefully, when you see my videos in this session, that will be the next video after this. In any case, let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.